Hi, I'm Jessica. I finally figured out why I kept ending up in the wrong story. Turns out I was the casting director all along, but I kept giving myself the supporting roles in my friendships, in my marriage, in my career, in my own life. Plot twist, the main character was always me. I just didn't know her well enough to step into the lead. So here, I talk about the emotional patterns that keep some of us from ever claiming that lead role. No one should feel stuck in their own life. Welcome to Journey to Jessica. Welcome to your recast. There's a current conversation online about women saying they're giving up on dating. Women saying they're much happier single. Women saying that relationships just aren't worth it anymore. I don't actually think women hate relationships or all men or love. I think we're just refusing to disappear inside a relationship again. And I kind of had a full circle moment on this week in a therapy session. I love those moments in therapy when you actually come to a screeching stop. I heard someone one time call them aha moments. And let me explain what happened. So first of all, I've been single for 9 years, raising my kids and running a household and working constantly. I've been rebuilding my life. So I had this dream that caught me off guard. Because first of all, I don't usually remember my dreams. And honestly, right now, dating is the furthest thing from my mind. My therapist and I don't even talk about dating because my life is so upside down right now. I'm grieving my dad's death, my house is under construction, but the other day, I had this incredibly vivid dream. I was dating this handsome boy next door celebrity, and the celebrity part isn't even important, although it did make the dream really fun. So we were at Disneyland on Main Street during Christmas time, like basically the happiest place imaginable for me, because Christmas is my favorite holiday, and Main Street at Disneyland feels completely magical to me. And I just remember the feeling that I had being with him. It wasn't the usual like head to toe butterflies where I'm ready to float away. It actually felt better than that. I felt compatible with him. I felt safe with him. I felt taken care of. I felt calm and able to enjoy and focus on the world around us. And I woke up genuinely excited to tell my therapist about it. So I get done telling her the whole dream, and she looks at me and says, "Jessica, have you thought about opening yourself back up to dating again?" And I literally laughed and said, "Absolutely not." And she said, "Why not?" And I was shocked that she would even say that because she knows how crazy my life is right now. And so I said, "Because with the tiny amount of free time and resources that I have left after taking care of my family, I want to spend it on myself, not somebody else." And then she said, "Why do you automatically think that a relationship would mean resources only flowing outward from you instead of resources flowing back into you? You realize that just because that's the way it was, that isn't the way it's supposed to be." And it hit me kind of hard. Because for a long time I told myself that I just wasn't interested in dating anymore. But it's because I never associated relationships with partnership or love. I associated them with depletion. And it's not something I made up. I've been in some incredibly depleting relationships. So many of us have. But there was a pattern recognition moment that I really needed. Because unless you recognize it, you can't change it. And when you've spent literally years being the emotional manager in a relationship, the adaptable one, the accommodating one, the understanding one, when you have felt alone inside a relationship, especially a marriage, eventually your body starts associating relationships with exhaustion, not safety. And through all my social media platforms, I've realized that this is happening to way more women than we even realize. Because I don't think a lot of women feel like they would never want a partnership or love again. I think they're saying, I cannot survive one more relationship where I slowly disappear. I started realizing how much of my life I spent emotionally on. And I know a lot of women know exactly what that feels like. To technically be in a relationship but still be emotionally alone inside of it. To feel breadcrumbed emotionally, like you're surviving tiny moments of affection, tiny moments of effort, tiny moments of connection, and sporadically. Just enough to keep hoping things will get better again. And meanwhile, you're carrying the emotional weight of a relationship, still managing the house, the moods, the communication, the tension, the peacekeeping, while quietly feeling lonelier and lonelier beside someone who's supposed to be your partner. And I think a lot of women do this without even realizing it, especially women who grew up in homes where there was love, but also unpredictability. And I want to be really careful because I loved my parents deeply. I had a beautiful childhood in so many ways. Traditions, warmth, good memories. So for years, I thought that trauma only belonged to people who came from obviously abusive homes. I didn't understand that there was such a thing as learning emotional survival skills in a subtler way. And I think a lot of Gen X women can relate to this. Maybe you had a parent that was wonderful most of the time, but when life stressed them out, the emotional atmosphere in the house completely changed. Maybe you learned to read moods really young. Maybe you learned to become really easy and helpful and low maintenance. Maybe part of feeling safe was figuring out how to help the environment feel emotionally okay again. Everyone calls you mature and empathetic and so thoughtful and easygoing, but underneath, some of that is hypervigilance. Underneath, there's a feeling that if everyone else is okay, then I'm safe too. And honestly, that realization hit me hard because I've done years of therapy. I understand emotional abuse. I understand people pleasing. I understand self-abandonment, but I still hadn't realized that my entire subconscious model of relationships was giving and managing and caretaking and slowly becoming emotionally exhausted. No wonder so many women stop wanting relationships. I honestly don't think most women are anti-love. I think they're completely depleted, and there's a huge difference between those things. Because when your nervous system has spent years associating relationships with emotional labor, of course peace starts feeling safer than partnership. So I think many women are actually afraid of disappearing, afraid of becoming emotionally responsible for another adult again, afraid of losing themselves trying to keep a relationship emotionally stable, afraid of becoming exhausted all over again. And I think this is why so many women stay stuck in confusing relationships too. Because when emotional unpredictability feels familiar to you, calm can feel unfamiliar. And that's why so many women keep chasing unavailable people, trying harder, overgiving, over-explaining, over-accommodating. Their nervous system is trying to recreate a feeling of emotional resolution they've been searching for a very long time. But when you realize this, that's the shift. And I think healing starts there. Not by becoming cold and not by giving up on love completely, not by pretending that you don't need connection, knowing that healthy love should not feel like a reality survival show. Healthy love should feel like support and peace and safety and rest. And I think a lot of emotionally exhausted women deserve to hear that.